We're going live in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Brandon K Show, live on YouTube and Facebook. This is a real show. Today is the Entertainment Roundup. We're kicking off a week or two of talking about entertainment. Perfect guest to talk about entertainment with is my old friend, Movieman.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Movieman is on TikTok. I met him on TikTok. He's on there as Movieman86, and you review old movies.
Yes, I collect old movies. Every week I pick like two or three movies. I watch through them and then I pick one, and that's my movie of the week, and that's the review I give.
And in doing that, you've watched old movies like 50s, 60s, 70s. You've watched, how far back do you go?
So far back, I think probably the farthest back I went is I watched a movie from like the Marx Brothers, and that's about as old as I can remember. And I watched one called, I think it was Night at the Opera is what it was called, but yeah.
Was it funny?
Um, I think I kind of had to be there to get the humor of it.
You had to
I
be there.
was
Had to
I was
be
watching it and I'm like, maybe if I was from this time, I might get the jokes. It's a little hard to understand.
Had to be there. Yeah, I mean that would. I mean the humor doesn't always, translate. But some people say those older movies are some of the funniest movies out there.
Oh yeah, I've watched movies that are I can't even tell you how far back they are, and they're funnier than a lot of today's stuff.
Yeah. So, but today, if we're going to talk about our favorite movies from the 1980s.
Oh, great decade, great decade.
1980s, which is we both grew up in the 80s a little bit, right?
Yep, 86 baby here, so
Ah,
kind of the end of the.
so you were born right there. Yeah, me too. Me too. Um, and but I mean, obviously, we grew up with Ghostbusters and Batman and E.T. and Back to the Future and the Supermans and Star Wars. These are
Just
all
timeless classics. Yeah.
a lot of these started in the 80s and are now being remaked in for the last 20 years or so. It's all kinds of remakes of each.
Yep. Yep. Definitely.
So we can talk about the remakes versus the new ones. And before we get into that, I want to say the Brandon K Show is brought to you by Giftiply, Giftiply charity wrapping paper. And I have a commercial here somewhere I'll throw on next time. But yeah, we use promo code 20 BK Show. Use promo code BK Show for 25% off. Giftiply charity wrapping paper. 33% of the proceeds goes to charity. So that's my little advertisement there for a good cause. And now we're going to talk about 80s movies.
Awesome.
What, what, what was the last 80s movie you watched in your journeys?
Um. Oh my gosh.
Or have you been watching more current ones?
I They fluctuate so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um. I don't remember which one I've watched recently. They fluctuate so much. I know I just did a movie haul and I bought a bunch of 80s movies that I'm pretty stoked to watch.
All right, what'd you get?
Uh, One of the movies that I found recently is a movie called Eddie and the Cruisers. I've heard it's phenomenal. It's like a rock and roll band type movie.
Yeah.
Hard to find, and I actually found it the other day at a thrift store. So I'm super excited about that. I can't wait to actually sit down and watch that film.
You know what one of my favorite 80s movies was? And I didn't see it till like 10 years ago or something, but Spinal Tap. You remember that one?
Oh yes, yep, I have that one. That is a phenomenal movie. I love Spinal Tap.
Now, the humor there does not grow old.
No,
That was a really funny one.
that's parody at its finest. That
But I think that came out in the 80s.
Yeah, I think so. Um, I know I think they're doing another one actually.
Oh, see, that's what we get into here is Now they're gonna remake everything, and like, check this out. One that we mentioned, Back to the Future. Here's the remake. It's Tom Holland as Marty McFly, Robert Downey Jr. as Doc. That
As much as they try, they can't touch the originals on these.
that's one that, yeah, everyone kind of agrees that one should never be remade.
You can't replace Michael J. Fox. That was just his role. That's his role.
Petitions start coming out when they want to reboot Back to the Future, but the one that they did reboot was
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yep.
Afterlife. We're looking at Paul Rudd. We're looking at a couple kids from Stranger Things, and I saw this in theaters.
Me too.
What?
In fact, when I saw it, it was one of those movies where I don't think it had a lot of traction at the time. I saw it, I loved it, and everybody was so much talking about No Way Home that it kind of got neglected, I think, when it was in theaters.
Yeah, that's right. That is a true statement. That No Way Home, the Spider-Man, bringing all the Spider-Man universes together, could have overshadowed this Ghostbusters reboot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I think unpopular opinion, I honestly liked Afterlife more than I liked No Way Home. I honestly liked Afterlife better.
Now, what did you like about it?
Afterlife, I think, wraps up the Ghostbuster story perfectly. It brings in a new set of characters, but it also pays homage to Harold Ramis, which was phenomenal in the series, and a definite love letter to him.
And spoiler alert, they kind of like come back as ghosts.
In a way, yep.
So that was interesting to how they brought back who they bring back. They brought back Harold Ramis as a ghost, and then some of these other guys were in there as helping.
Yep. They reunite them again. Yep.
So there he is. Harold Ramis is over on the left. He passed away, and then Bill Murray and who's this other guy?
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson.
Were they all at the end of Afterlife?
They all come back and rephrase their roles as Ghostbusters. Yes.
Okay, so it's a magical moment. For me, that movie was a little slow. I mean, it had some humor. I liked Paul Rudd. I liked the fun in the store with the marshmallows and kind of the ghost chasing and stuff. But it was a lot. It was very character driven. So you're like learning about like this kid and who knows like who's the divorce with his parents or whatever. But it was a little slow for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, a lot of people liked it. I think I got into it, towards the middle or something, but it had a slow start, I believe.
I definitely think the middle and the ending is a strong point. I definitely think the beginning's a little bit of a slow burn, excuse me. But I definitely think it pays off in the end where Harold Ramis and
So then you had, well, I'd have to pull it up, but you had the 2014 or 15 remake. Did you ever see that one?
I unfortunately did.
Yeah.
It was not good. It was one of those where I saw it in theaters and I didn't mind it, but then I ended up buying the Blu-ray or DVD, whatever, and it's out of my shelf. I haven't watched it since. It was like a one quick watch and then I was kind of done with it.
What do you think? Do you think they were trying too hard, or what do you? They missed the magic of the first one. Why do you think it didn't go well?
I think it was a movie that they're trying to spread a message, and the message failed. They were trying very hard to do, like the female Ghostbusters, and they're trying very hard to pay into the whole feminism thing, and I think it just fell on its face.
You think like it was very heavy-handed with like how often they brought that up, or like, I mean, can't women be Ghostbusters? Like, well,
They can, yes, but the whole message of we don't need no man and then any man in the movie was kind of dumb, was really heavy-handed, and
Oh,
it ruined the movie for me.
okay. And it's a male audience, so I guess. But I mean, um, yeah, it's a fair point. I myself, I was drunk and asleep during that movie when I watched it. So
Yeah,
I can't have a very good
it,
uh too much of a critique of it. I think I remember waking up and they brought back some of the originals in that movie as well, maybe towards the end or
they brought them back, but they weren't the Ghostbuster characters. They were other off characters. Dan Aykroyd didn't play a Ghostbuster; he played a cab driver. Bill
Mhm.
Murray gets thrown out of a window for some reason.
That's funny. I mean, that's funny that they didn't use them as with other.
Yeah, they made a completely different universe, and then it, it's pretty much canon that everybody doesn't really care for that one. And I just I thought it was better than it gets credit for, but it's still not good.
I'm trying to pull up the picture. Um, but you went and saw the new Ghostbusters movie. How'd you like that one?
I did not care much for that one.
All right, so
Um,
this could be spoilers for the new movie in theaters. What's it called?
Frozen Empire.
Frozen Empire. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review. What was your and first before we do that, and I'll set it up again. But these are this is what the 2015 version looked like. And they're all funny gals, and I'm sure there was lots of good jokes in there, but it generally didn't people didn't like it. But
Uh, just going quick back to the 2016 one. Uh, the blonde haired actress, and I can't think of what her name was, Kate McCann. She was actually probably the best part of that movie. She had the best joke, she had the best humor, and uh, to be fair, I like Melissa McCarthy and I like Kristen Wiig. They've done some great movies. This just wasn't it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, and so the audience actually, well, the tomato meter, which is the critics, they had a 74, but the audience had a 49%.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. Let's take a look at Ghostbusters Afterlife is 64%. Or 94% audience score. So the audience liked Ghostbusters, 64% from the critics. And for Frozen Empire, so Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has an audience score of 83%, but a critical score of 44%. What do you think? What is your review of Ghostbusters Frozen Earth?
Frozen Empire to me was what I would consider to be average at best. It wasn't bad. It's not a horrible movie, and I'll probably still buy it when it comes out. But the problem is there were too many characters, there were too many storylines going, and it really felt like kind of a less of a Ghostbusters film. They had two ghosts the whole movie that they go after.
Okay, and then what else is going? What else is happening in that movie that might be interesting?
Um, basically, for the villain was actually really good, but the problem is the villain was only there like the last half hour of the movie. There
Oh yeah.
was no build up to the villain, and they did this weird thing where basically, and this might get into spoiler territory,
Yeah, well, this is the spoiler review.
um, is that they made Phoebe, the daughter of or granddaughter of Harold Ramis, dumber than what she usually was. She basically develops feelings for this ghost and throws all intellect out the window and basically ends up causing more trouble than more good.
So it's a little hard to buy into.
For me, it was, yes.
I'm trying to pull up the picture. So, but you like the performances? We are doing a review of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So if you want to go see that movie, probably skip this part of the video. But let's see if I can. But you feel like, so say that again. I missed it.
So basically,
There we go.
Phoebe's character, or the one that Phoebe was so smart in the original Afterlife.
Is that the
And
old,
then
the mom is Phoebe?
Phoebe's the granddaughter. She's the one that
Okay,
the
this
glasses,
is
and
out of this picture, but yeah, okay, I gotcha.
and she was like this kind of like super genius in the first film.
Is that
And
here? She's on the left, I think.
yep, and she's the one that discovers all the Ghostbuster equipment and finds out the whole backstory of Harold Ramis's character. And then in this one, she is like this angsty teenager, and she
Develops a little crush on a ghost.
basically, yep, she develops kind of like this attachment crush to a ghost. They don't really come out and say it, but she gets to the point where she would rather be a spirit and be with this ghost than be with her family. So
The
there's
ghost
feelings
does the
there.
take a physical form.
She tries to take a physical form, and then in that sense kind of sets up the baddie in this movie.
Oh, it like opens a portal or something.
Gives him more power and gives him the ability to kind of escape his little prison or whatever that he's in this
So one
movie.
and what do you give the humor of Frozen
Uh,
Empire?
like a 5. There were a lot of stuff that doesn't land.
How about
Even
the action? One to
the
ten.
action towards the last half of the movie, I'd probably say 7 or 8. It really does pick up towards the end of the movie.
And what's the other one I was going to say? Ghosts. As far as ghosts go, you give it a between 1 and 10. You said there was this little sparse.
I will probably say a 7.
Hmm.
There's 2 ghosts that are really phenomenal. The big baddie, and then there's this possessor ghost that kind of like takes control of things. And it's just like a light, but anytime it takes control of things, it's pretty menacing and pretty creepy.
And then in this picture, oh, this picture's cut off. But it looks like Slimer is a main character in this movie, no?
Slimer makes an appearance, but he's more of a background character. It's more of a reason for a character to have something to do. The big brother kind of goes after Slimer, and that's really what he does in the movie.
Oh, I'm seeing the Indian guy from Eternals is in there.
Um, to be honest, one of the main reasons I didn't enjoy this movie, well, he was actually a funny character. His character was actually good, but the reason I didn't enjoy this character is because the side characters have more action than the actual Ghostbusters do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to pull up a picture. Let's see. But yeah, so overall, what's your score on Afterlife, the first Ghostbusters reboot?
Afterlife, I'll probably give it a 9.
And then Frozen Empire?
6.
All right. So you're not a fan.
Definitely could have been better. Yes.
Oh, did we lose our, yeah. Let's see. Okay. So another cool reboot that they kind of found a way to bring the original Batman Michael Keaton back was this Flash movie that came out a year or two ago.
Yes. Yep.
And then I think that was like one of my favorite movies of the year. Even though it was pushed off years and years and there was a lot of drama behind the scenes with the main actor, the movie itself, Movieman, I can't see you anymore.
Sorry.
The movie itself had a lot of, it was actually action packed and funny and entertaining the whole way through. So that's my proof that like you can go into a movie, and I didn't want to like the movie when I went in there. I don't want to like the guy and his alleged issues and the fact that it took so long to make, and even who knows, maybe you might think they're cashing in, trying to bring Michael Keaton back, but I like the movie. The movie was a good movie, so
The
I give it a
Flash.
I give it a 10.
Sorry, The Flash was actually probably one of the better super movies I've seen in a long time. I mean,
Feel like, because everybody sees Marvel movies, and even my a lot of people around me don't even see DC movies, but I recommend that one highly. So, but it doesn't seem like it got a lot of love.
DC gets swept under the rug a lot when it comes to superhero movies. Marvel always kind of gets that dominance right now. And it's an unfair thing because Flash was actually very well done. The graphics, yes, I will admit, could have been better. The graphics were not great. But overall, I feel The Flash was Keaton's third Batman movie. It was the Batman movie that we did not get.
I mean, yeah, he came back as like an alternate version, and there was a lot of reality jumping. But I mean, it was in the same year as Multiverse of Madness, and I think even they did it better. The Flash.
Yeah. And the thing is, The Flash looked at alternate realities. The Flash looked, there was a hint that Nick Cage was going to be Superman at one point. So they did a homage to that. They had all these different alternate realities, and The Flash did it wonderfully.
Yeah, and but yeah, there was even during, yeah, I guess there were parts where there was the CG was hard to believe, but that happened.
But, I mean, that's what you go to the movies for. You suspend your belief.
Only disbelief, yeah. So that was so so what are you but you wanted to talk about, yeah, your one of your favorite movies from the 80s was the original 1889 Batman with Michael.
Yes. Michael Keaton will always be my favorite Batman. He just brings something to the character that I don't think anyone has really touched since then. And the 89 Batman, you get Jack Nicholson's Joker, one of probably the best takes on the Joker. And I'm including Heath Ledger into this, with Dark Knight and stuff, but he was the original like Joker, and he was hard to beat.
All right, so I'm going to give you all the Batmans since Michael Keaton, and I want you to rank them.
Okay.
So is Michael Keaton number one?
Michael Keaton will always be number one, yes.
All right, then Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, I'm gonna do probably 5.
George Clooney.
George Clooney gets a 10. George Clooney wasn't good.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale will be number 2.
And then we got Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson, I would give 4.
Okay, and then I don't know if we missed one, but you don't have a 3.
Ben Affleck, I think, was the other one.
Affleck, yeah, is he your 3?
Yeah, he's probably my 3rd.
He's pretty good.
I think he did better than people give him credit for.
Did you like Batman versus Superman?
I actually rather enjoyed that film.
Mm.
There's a lot of people that didn't like it. Yeah, the Martha scene was dumb, but I actually thought I really liked Lex's plan, and I really liked. There's a scene where he's standing up on the roof and he's with Lois Lane, and he says that, like, you're gonna go to her, dark versus night, Bat son of Gotham versus whatever he says. But yeah, I thought he was a decent Lex Luthor. I think people are a little hard on him.
So I can break some of this down, which is the Man of Steel. It was a very I didn't like Man of Steel to start.
Mm.
To start the DCEU. I did not like Man of Steel as a movie. Did you like Man of Steel?
I didn't mind Man of Steel. I actually thought it was pretty decent.
But one of my criticisms with Man of Steel is how destructive that last scene was where he's blowing through all the buildings and then he kills Zod at the end, which is not Superman like at all, but basically destroys But then they show it in Batman versus Superman. They show that Batman is upset that he destroyed all his buildings, which was kind of cool.
Yes. Yep.
And that creates the conflict. And I mean, but it's trouble. It's Did you like JLA?
I liked the Justice League. Um, I I honestly I don't mind the DCU. I don't think it's the worst set of movies. There's
Not the
there's
worst.
hits and misses with it too. You know,
So when you're talking about 80s movies like Batman 89, like right now, do you prefer to go back and watch the classics, or do you like the new stuff they're putting out as much as the classics?
I pretty much like the classics. I've always been a classics sort of person. Um, yeah, I will definitely go back and watch The Flash again, but that's mainly because of Keaton. Him returning to that role was phenomenal.
Did you how many times have you seen Batman 89?
Too many to count. I have all the Batman films, and I always go back to the older Keaton ones. Those are always my favorite.
So I enjoyed the Batman 89 and Jack Nicholson as Joker, but I have to say the Dark Knight, I think it topped any other
Oh
Batman movie.
yeah, the Christian Bale movies are in a world of their own. I love Michael Keaton, but I love the darkness of the Dark Knight films. I love there's an unhinged element to it, to where every villain, you don't know what they're going to do, you don't know what the plan is, and there's anarchy in all of them.
But it all started with that Batman 89. They said that was kind of like the first dark superhero, like realistic superhero
Hmm.
was that Batman 89. And then shortly after Batman Returns, it was like a very realistic showing showing everybody what a superhero movie can be.
Yes. In fact, trivia would go to say that uh, Keaton, when he was picked, got mocked for it because they saw him in like Mr. Mom and they saw him in all these comedy roles. They didn't think he was going to pull off Batman, and he did.
Well, when I went back and watched it several years back, by our standards today, after watching Dark Knight, it's still kind of cheesy, the 89 version.
Well, yeah, different times, what might have been serious then is probably not as serious by
Or
today's
Well, it's
standards.
not as dark. It's not as dark as The Crow, or it's not like as dark as Batman Returns. Like it seemed like there was like jokes and unbelievable elements. And I haven't watched it in a couple years, but I remember thinking like, oh, this isn't. I don't know. It's not that dark and scary.
I, I think, like, looking at the demographic, maybe at the time, it might have been a little dark for them. Like, if you're a kid, maybe watching it, the Joker was kind of sinister, you know, Batman,
He was as a kid, I was afraid of him, but I'm saying going back and looking, seems kind of silly,
well, yeah, yep, yep.
but in a fun way. Like he's fun. He's having a blast in that role.
Yeah, and I kind of almost think it reflects a little bit on like the animated series of a Joker who is trying to be comical but yet sinister at the same time.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, I laugh at Dark Knight, but I mean, it is kind of like more twisted. But it, for the cartoon and for Jack Nicholson, it's kind of like more silly and fun. And he's,
Hmm.
he's got his gun that says bang. And
Hmm. I think one of the reasons it was considered so much darker at the time is because the only source of Batman you had at that time was the Adam West show, which was really beyond comical.
yeah, 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 it was a stepping stone for sure. It's a stepping stone to, um, yeah, but there aren't very many other 80s superhero movies. But I asked you your favorite movies in general, and we had this one.
Ferris Bueller is one of those movies I could watch over and over again. That's like a go-to feel-good movie for me.
Is it a comedy?
It definitely a comedy, teen comedy. John Hughes at like his very best. John Hughes had some great teen comedies in the '80s, and that is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it's got some cool moments. I don't remember the whole movie, so it was never one of my favorites. But I know. Tell me all your favorite things about it.
Um, I think Matthew Broderick really shines in it. Um, it's definitely he's a kid who is notorious for skipping school, and he has so many absent days, and he calls out, and the principal's kind of on to him. So the principal's trying to like hunt him down and expose him. And then the whole day is about him and his friends going out and just having this wonderful day. Well, he should be in school.
And the fun of it is he gets away with it. He
He gets away with it. And
I don't, I don't know if he gets away with it in the end, but in general, he's good at getting away with it.
he gets away with it. He has a bunch of close calls. There's a few times his dad could catch him. There's a few times the principal could catch him, but he always just like slips through his fingers.
It's a good premise for a movie for sure.
And I mean, it is a little silly in some senses. There are some senses where, like, he sings in the middle of a parade on a random school day because, you know, you just randomly have parades on a, you know, Tuesday. But it's just, he also is one of those characters that's a lot like Deadpool who, like, breaks the fourth wall. He talks to the audience. You're kind of in on the gags.
Yeah, it's. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and looking back at it, it seems like kind of the preface to Mr. Zach Morris.
Yes. Yep.
Zach Morris became well eventually, maybe not at the beginning of Saved by the Bell, but because it was more about you remember the first season of Saved by the Bell?
Yes. It was about Miss Bliss, the teacher. And then it kind of
Yeah, it was more like just about their class and everything. But eventually, Zach Morris became kind of like the Ferris Bueller of Bayside High.
yeah, he's kind of like the Ferris Bueller of the '90s. He always had some tricks up his sleeve, and always, you know, confusing Mr. Belding. Yep.
Do you remember when Zach Morris was ditching school and he made a bet with Slater that he couldn't ditch every class, but then like
That
he kept like giving Mr. Belding or Screech kept giving Mr. Belding candy like with bugs like,
always making him throw up. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he would get sick and then Zach would get away with another class he could ditch.
That's actually one of my favorite episodes of that show. There's a line in that where Mr. Belding enters the classroom and Zach is sitting there and he says something about like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you here, Zach," and he goes, "That's easy for you to say. They pay you to be here." And he smiles at Mr. Belding. It's just a in cheek joke. Oh, such a funny show.
it, I used to watch those all the time.
That is definitely a classic. Yep.
I'm trying to pull up pictures, but it's harder than it seems. Like I'll save them and then they won't be the right version to save. But let's see. I'm gonna pull up one more. Thanks for watching. I see one person watching. You can ask us a question at any time. Let's see. I was gonna pull up. There it is. We're going to go on to the next topic, which is the Breakfast Club, which is my favorite than Ferris Bueller because it's real. You know, they talk about real stuff.
Yes, The Breakfast Club is a very it still has its comical elements, but it's really more of a drama. It's really got more dramatic elements to it.
And so they're all just really great characters you can relate to.
Hmm.
and I can't pull it up, but everyone knows Breakfast Club. let's, let's see. So what do you like about that one?
That one, well, the cast is phenomenal. The music is phenomenal for Breakfast Club, and it uh, it just has a raw emotion to it. There's times where you're watching these characters and you believe every word they say. You could believe this is someone in your high school class. You could believe this is someone in your class because the things that they are dealing with are normal everyday things.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up. It'd be really cool if I could. Let's see here. I'm getting, I'm just learning this program. No, it's not gonna work. So, anyways, if I was pulling it up right now, who do you relate to the most of these 5 characters?
I would like to say I'm probably Brian. I'm probably the nerdy kind of dorky character. Um, I always wanted to be like Bender, the rebel, because he
Judd.
was Judd Nelson's character.
Yeah.
Um,
You ever a rebel in school?
Not really, no.
I wish. Go on.
I was honestly the type of person where I got along with everyone. That I didn't have any like clique or anything that I was in. I'd hang out with the nerds, but then I'd also hang out with the jocks. Like I was fortunate enough to have a high school where I got along with everyone. So,
Were you always into movies?
that kind of came later. I started games and stuff, and it kind of got to the point where collecting games got to be too expensive, so I moved on to movies, and now I'm just going through all the old movies and finding classics that I haven't heard of and that I like.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the picture. I can't believe how hard it is to pull up a picture on here. But that's why I have to prepare better. So you got the nerd, you got the jock. Is Emilio Estevez like the jock?
Emilio Estevez is the jock.
And then you got 2 girls. One is kind of like a emo, and one is kind of like a
princess
popular girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that's it. Let's see, what else do we? I'm trying to pull up all these pictures, but we hit on Ghostbusters, we hit on Batman, we hit on Breakfast Club, we hit on, Back to the Future. Let's do Back to the Future again. So other than that, go ahead and tell us about what you've been doing on your. Another one that's not working. Tell us what you've been up to on your TikTok. What have you been reviewing these days?
TikTok, I've been posting almost every day a week. I start off on like Saturday. I go down and I pick like 3 movies out of my totes, and those are the movies that I'm gonna watch the week and then review one of them.
Yes.
Sunday, I always do just like a randomness Sunday. I pick a filter or whatever. There's really no rhyme or reason for what I do on Sundays. Monday, I show off my movie collection. I show off like 10, 11 movies that I bought or have or whatever. Tuesday, I do my Let's Discuss. And that changes. Sometimes it's about movies. Sometimes it's about movie news. Lately, I've been doing profiles, actor profiles, where I cover actors that I consider to be legends. This last week, I covered Judy Garland and Wizard of Oz and like how she had such a tragic life. Wednesdays, every now and then I'll do a head-to-head Wednesdays where I watch through a certain movie series. Like I did Star Wars, I've done Alien, just to name a few of them. Thursdays, I do a lip sync Thursday. I just dance and kind of pick a song.
I love that you're just on there having fun.
Yep. And then Fridays, I do my movie review.
So you have children, correct?
I do, yes.
Do your kids watch watch movies with you?
Depending if the movie's appropriate for them, yes.
Do you end up watching kids' movies with them?
Yeah.
Or are they older?
They're getting to be kind of the like preteen stage, so we could probably show them a little bit more. Like one of the movies I picked this week is The Great Mouse Detective, which I can probably find on Disney Plus, which we could probably sit down and watch that with them. It just kind of depends. Um, like this last week, the movie that I reviewed was 12 Years a Slave, and that was a phenomenal
I didn't
film.
see that one. I mean, I did not see that movie. I saw you reviewing that movie. You were one, yeah, digging into that whole thing.
That was actually one of those movies that sits up there as Schindler's List for me. It is very eye-opening. It there's certain movies that show you the dark side of history, and that movie definitely opens up the can of worms on that. And you, after you watch it, you're kind of shocked by what you've seen.
Did that one get some like Academy Awards and stuff?
It did win some awards, and it's very star-studded.
We got
And
friend Frank on here. Much love and destruction to you both. Not sure why destruction is in there, but Frank, any movie you want to talk about? Movie man over here. I bet he knows a little something about it because you're watching multiple movies a week from all the different decades. So you must
mhm,
have watched. I mean, it's be an understatement. Hundreds of movies at this point, maybe thousands.
a lot, yeah, too much to count. And I've only probably gone through like one of my totes, and I have like several. Um,
So we're talking about '80s movies and your destruction in the movies. He says, "Sure, yeah. I mean, Destruction Derby. Always fun to see some stuff blown up."
oh yeah.
I don't, but so for you, this is the '80s. This is entertainment roundup. The best movies of the 1980s. What are your top three movies of the 1980s?
My top three gotta be Back to the Future. Back to the Future is actually my favorite movie of all time. I love that series to no end.
Yeah, that's true. Can't fight
Number,
it.
yeah. Number two would probably be Breakfast Club,
Yeah,
and then Ferris Bueller. Um, I have a soft spot in my heart for anything John Hughes, so it's kind of a hard pick because John Hughes did so many movies in the '80s, and one of the other ones that I'd probably say would be a tie would be Uncle Buck because I love John Candy so much. I love all of John Candy's movies.
yeah. I mean, I'd have to I'd have to pull up a list of which I can do. Let's see here. Pull up a list of great '80s movies, but you know one that I saw that I really liked was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
That one is on my list. I own it. I need to actually watch it yet. It's still on my list, but I've heard great things.
So I like you, Mr. Movieman86. I was born in '85, and so even going back to watch these movies as like a teenager, not they don't all hold up, but some of them, like Back to the Future, holds up forever, timeless.
Oh,
Empire Strikes Back, timeless. Jedi, timeless. I mean, even I'm looking at a list here. Full Metal Jacket, timeless.
mhm.
What was the other one I said? You got your ETs, you got your Naked Guns, you got your Scarface. You got you got timeless. What movies that are so perfect that it doesn't matter what decade they were made in?
There are timeless movies everywhere. '80s had a handful of them. Half of the movies that I enjoy are timeless classics from the '80s. You know, you have like your Top Gun. That doesn't get old. You have your Footloose, your, you know,
Labyrinth.
Dirty Dance. Yes, Labyrinth.
Roger
Um,
Rabbit is like one that has never been touched.
yep. Any of the Back to the Futures, a
The
lot of
vac-
the John
the, vac-
Hughes.
the vacation movies are still funny.
Yes, yep. You ain't gonna be able to touch the Christmas Vacation. You ain't gonna find a movie that hits as hard as that one. Um,
So a lot of people see the '80s as the golden age of cinema.
Yes, yep. Because 80s went hand in hand with everything. Um, Entertainment was so wrapped together in the 80s that not only did you have your movies, but you had your music that tied in. You had your TV shows that tied in. Everything tied in so perfectly to each other. Um, I was watching a special the other day where they talked about how Cyndi Lauper had a big hand in the first like WrestleManias that came out in the 80s. Like everything had a hand in everything.
Yeah, even like for Dick Tracy, like Madonna was like one of the stars of the movie.
Yep.
That
Yep.
might have been like 90, but I mean, it was the same kind of era.
And you know, 80s, and I've noticed this going back and rewatching the 80s movies, 80s have a feel to them that doesn't matter what movie you watch from the 80s, you can immediately tell it's an 80s movies just by watching it. Just the feel of the film.
So Frank here, and Frank, I'd like to ask you your favorite '80s movie, but he says CEOTTK is awesome. I don't know. Do you know what he means?
See, not off the top of my head, no.
Try again, Frank. But we want to hear some of your favorite movies, Frank, because we're going to be on here another 10 minutes or so. So I know you like movies, and you
So,
probably got some of your favorites.
well, actually, thinking back to it, I think I thought of the last 80s movie I did watch, and that
I
was,
I got it. I got it. I got it. He did his acronym there. Close
oh,
Encounter
yeah.
of the Third Kind. Yes, I want to watch that one again. That one was really cool.
The last 80s movie I remember actually watching was Valley Girl, and it had Nick Cage in, and that was actually really good. I've actually come to respect Nick Cage as an actor because he actually does some pretty decent films.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a good actor. He makes a lot of movies, and he's wild, but he's a good actor. That's for sure. I was gonna say, oh, here we go. Frank likes Shadow of the Fog by Woody Allen. You know that one?
I've heard of Woody Allen. I don't know if I've heard of that particular title,
So I was gonna
but
say, movie man, while you're here, a lot of these movies, in this episode we talked about Ghostbusters being remade. We talked about Star Wars being remade. Like, do you think that? Do you like when '80s movies are remade?
not really. Um, I kind of think a lot of things should be left alone. I'm the type of person where even Afterlife or some of these Ghostbuster ones that I've seen, the magic doesn't feel like it's there anymore. It feels like these actors are coming in for a paycheck almost.
I got
Bill
a
Murray.
I got a list of bad remakes here. I can go down the list. So I wanted to also say that Gremlins is a timeless classic.
Oh, yep.
And
Yep.
here's a list of movies that have been remade from the '80s: A Nightmare on Elm Street,
Yep.
RoboCop.
Yeah.
You're gonna like be disgusted by each one as I go down the list. I don't believe they made a good RoboCop remake. You got Fame, Big Trouble in China, Highlander, Endless Love. More importantly, The Karate Kid had a remake. Friday the 13th had a remake. Evil Dead had a remake. And Total Recall. The Fog, Footloose, The Thing had a prequel. And a lot of this stuff they try, like Footloose, and they fail miserably.
Exactly. Um, you mentioned the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and I watched that one recently. And to be honest, they in the 80s they didn't have a lot to do graphics and effect wise, and that one was way better than the remake. They have computer technology, and
Oh,
the
which one?
80s were
Which one did?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, so you liked it?
The
Yeah, I liked the Nightmare on Elm Street one as well myself.
it wasn't bad, but the graphic wise, the 80s one blew it out of the water.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. What I liked about that movie was they addressed that he was. This is a bad thing to talk about. That he was like doing bad stuff to the kids. Like they kind of made it.
Yeah.
They made it darker in a way.
They gave him a creepier element. Yes, they did. Um, no, 80s movies.
I think I mean I'll say it on my show here. This is like they said he was like the school pedophile who like is coming back from the dead.
Yep, yep, yep. I knew where you were going with that. Yep. He was creepy in that. Yes. Uh, it's just I tend to think that we have gotten so heavy-handed with reboots and remakes that we need to take a step back and be more creative again in Hollywood. I feel like we're relying too much on old material for movies anymore and TV shows. And
Yeah, well, that's what's troublesome is that they know that a franchise has legs, or they try to milk it for everything it's worth, bring back something that they know will get people into the theaters, but then they don't take any time to really create new things. I mean, they do, but if you did try to create a new movie, people aren't going to go watch it as readily as they will watch a Footloose remake.
yeah, they just announced recently that they're redoing Scary Movie, I guess. And I was like, why? We By the time we got done with the scary movies, they weren't funny anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and it's almost like Scary Movie that was 20 years ago, and it was a parody to begin with. Like if they go and tap into that, they're not. I don't know if they're really ruining anything. Or like same with Scream. Like it's interesting to me that they're on like Scream 6 at this point,
Yeah, I think they're doing the seventh one now.
and
And
it seems like they're a big hit.
I honestly, I like Jenna Ortega, and I like the two newer Screams. I didn't care for number 5 as much, but I did really like number 6. I thought
Here's what I don't understand. Okay, so I saw Scream 1 and I saw Scream 2, and the Scream 2 was like the copycat killers. You
Mhm.
know, they were like influenced. Now, is every other Scream just more copycat killers? Like,
There's
why are there so many murderers in the Scream universe?
everybody seems to use it as a claim to fame. It's really weird. In fact, honestly, when it comes to Scream, my favorite Screams are the first 3 because it feels like it's a chapter of Sydney, and then after Scream 3, it just breaks away to where every killer's like wants fame and they want notoriety.
So I don't even like really have an interest in it for that reason, and also that I don't really love horror movies that much, or I don't like to watch brutal murders that much. So like, but my question is like, does it seem believable to you that there would be so many murderers in that universe? Do they make it like a believable character who comes out at the end and says, "This is why I did it"?
Yes, I think it's more like I said, it falls on the whole fame thing, and people will do anything to be famous a lot of times, so it makes sense. Um, I didn't like number 4. I thought the fourth one was dumb, but like the rest of them kind of make sense, even though I felt number 5 was a copy and paste of the original movie. It felt very much kind of following the same suit as the first film. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the Force Awakens of the Scream franchise.
pretty much,
Sorry,
yeah.
that's what people say about Force Awakens. I like Force Awakens. There's some similar elements, but they use those elements to launch new characters. You know.
Yeah, I liked The Force Awakens, but it was you could clearly see where they drew inspiration from.
Did you like the Last Jedi?
Um, I actually think I was one
Hold on,
that
wait.
actually
Hold
didn't
on,
mind.
just 1 second. Your mic went out. Did you like the Last Jedi?
I was actually one of them that actually really did. I didn't mind Last Jedi.
I loved it.
Um, there were some elements that I did think were dumb, but I mean that's any movie. There's some elements I thought were dumb, but I think the story was good. I thought the whole connection between Kylo Ren and uh the gal Ray was
Ray, Ray.
yeah. I thought there was a good connection there. I don't like the route they took with it in the last movie. I thought they kind of squandered that story a little bit more than they should have. But I did like the whole being able to like read each other's minds element and kind of seeing where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm diehard Star Wars fan to the end. Force Awakens was my favorite movie when it came out. Last Jedi was then my favorite movie after that. It still might be one of my favorite movies. There's a lot of good stuff in Last Jedi. You got Yoda, you got Let the Past Die, you got Kylo Ren killing Snoke, you got you know Luke as a as a force projection. Okay, so Last Jedi, top tier, 10 to me. Rise of Skywalker, that movie had some flaws, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't like Rise of Skywalker as much.
And
Um,
and that was
like
a result of them not having a plan of any kind.
yeah, yeah, it was not what I consider a worthy end to the series at the time. At the time, they always continue to do more, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even like it's all like a treasure hunt to find a certain thing, but it's not the best Star Wars movie of
no,
the sequels or even of the prequels. The Rise of Skywalker had some major flaws, in my opinion.
hmm and Star Wars was actually one of those series that I didn't watch till I was like an adult, so I had a lot of it spoiled for me before I went into the series. But I have so much more respect for it after watching them. I, you
I
know,
also don't, I'm gonna just complain about Rise of Skywalker more. I also don't know what it would be that would make me want to go back and watch it, because like there's nothing really too incredible. There's no real incredible scene besides maybe the Emperor at the end being
mhm.
being back from the dead, but like there's not really any great moments that I can recall.
And I think that's what ruined it for me is the fact that you bring back the Emperor and he's so side character. Like it would like the Emperor was such a force in the original movies that it felt like he was not being utilized enough.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to go darker with him, but he was just there at the end and gets defeated. So I mean, he doesn't really say anything too amazing. I like great quotes that I like the battle of the good and the evil and learning life lessons, and they had life lessons in The Last Jedi.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And in Rise of Skywalker, partly because, and this will make me cry, but because Carrie Fisher died, and
hmm
then they just cut her in there with like old clips, so she couldn't come in and say anything great and be a great trainer to Ray, and then just they decided to bring a Palpatine back, and it was just a mess.
But yeah, and it's hard to continue a series when a lot of the older like main cast pass away. It's really hard to kind of continue along that pathway. You know.
Yeah, I mean, they could have kept that one in the chamber for a little longer and come up with something better. Actually, they did have potentially a better script that they threw out. Did you ever hear about that? Like the Trevor, the guy who wrote Jurassic Park, had a whole script, and then they didn't go with his script. They went with a different script. They brought in J.J. Abrams instead.
Okay. Wow.
Travanow, or what was his name? Travanow. Anyways, there was a lot of weirdness on that movie if you go into the history of it.
Yeah. In fact, a few weeks ago, my dad even said that they were watching the old Star Wars on TV, and he goes, "Those still hold up." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, the original films still hold up by today's standards."
I will say that for any sequel haters out there, Star Wars sequel haters, don't judge them all on that last movie. Those Force Awakens and Last Jedi are still good movies.
Yeah. Yep.
They're good characters. I'm glad they introduced the characters, and they can now go into different areas with those characters. But Rise of Skywalker was a bit of a miss.
Yeah, for sure.
So, this is a question I asked of people in 2012. I went around Comic Con and I said, What remake most ruined your childhood favorites?
What make? Wow. Well, can't speak to some of them because some of them I haven't seen, but I'm gonna go with actually right now with the Halloween series. I did not care for the 2018 edition that they've added to it.
Isn't that the Rob Zombie version?
Not the Rob Zombie one. Well, I don't like his either, but that's not the ones. I'm talking about the new ones with Jamie Lee Curtis that Bloomhouse did
Oh, you
recently.
don't like those?
I don't mind. I liked the second one in that series. I liked the Halloween Kills because Michael was brutal in that. But I did not care for much for the 2018 one or the way they ended it. They topped out and they completely destroyed the series at the last film.
I-
Uh,
I'm hearing you. I don't know those one as well. Do you have any more that you really hate remakes?
I I try to shy away from them so much that I
Hmm,
don't watch a lot of them.
that's good. Yeah,
I watch
like. Do you remember?
Ghostbusters.
Like for
Yeah.
me, I mean, I remember, and you liked Man of Steel, but I remember my disappointment when I went into Man of Steel and I didn't like the movie, and it was like I was expecting this to be a great movie, and it wasn't. Do you ever have that experience?
Um, a lot. Uh,
Well, you watch a lot of movies, so
that's why it's so hard to pin it. Um, uh, there's so many that I expect great things from, and they let me down. Um, you know, there's a reason why like I don't go see any of the newer Marvel movies is because none of them interest me anymore. The last Marvel movie I went to go see was Multiverse with Doctor Strange. I haven't
Mhm.
seen any of the newer ones because none of them appeal to me.
Did you like
And
Multiverse of Madness?
the Multiverse of Madness one, yeah, I actually enjoyed that one though. I did enjoy that one, and I enjoyed No Way Home. But those are like the last Marvel movies I have seen. Um,
We got someone in the audience here. He says the first two Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes suck compared to the books. It's funny that you went and saw both of them, Frank. No, no, but I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one, but I mean, it was okay.
I yeah, I first one on that one. I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay, but then again, I haven't read the book, so I don't really have much to compare it to. I don't really know how the books play out, but
uh yeah, yeah. No, it was interesting, like the angle they took on that. That was a couple years back, but I remember that it was a different angle for sure.
now back when they Robert Downey Jr. for everything after his Iron Man hype.
I'm a big Robert Downey Jr. fan, but I did see Doctor Doolittle, and even that movie didn't have a lot to it.
Yeah, I own that one. I haven't watched that one quite yet. Um,
I'm also a
but
Doctor Doolittle fan. I remember watching the old '60s version as a kid, but the Robert Downey Jr. version wasn't that fun, really.
yeah, no, I a lot of his films I've seen
Hold on.
are most the Iron Man ones. They're mostly the Marvel. Um,
You're cutting out a little bit. We'll have to wrap this up. But what were you saying?
most of the Marvel films are the ones of Robert Downey Jr. that I've seen. The one that stands out that I haven't or that I've seen that wasn't Marvel was Oppenheimer. I thought he was wonderful in that.
He was a good
But
character.
but
I saw. Did you see The
yeah,
Judge? You see a lot of movies. Did
I
you
own
watch The
it.
Judge? Watch
I
it. It's
own
a
it,
good
but
movie. It's
yep,
a good
I
movie.
that one I seen on a shelf and I grabbed it one time and I just haven't watched it yet. But it looked very good.
I I mean, it's just like good drama and good relationships, but I like that movie.
Yeah.
Did you see Fences with with Denzel Washington?
Oh,
That's another that's another good one. These are like dramas. These are like dramas I went in theater and saw and liked, but yeah.
Yeah, I just bought a Denzel Washington collection, but I don't even remember what's all in it.
I don't even know if I have seen many other Denzel movies, but he was good in Fences.
I liked him in Man. Thought that was very
Hold on,
good.
you're cutting out. You're cutting out. What'd you say?
I liked Denzel Washington in Man of Fire. That one was actually very good.
I think I even have seen that one, and that's kind of like one of the big Denzel movies.
Yeah.
Um, go on.
I don't train of thought. Like,
Dang,
you know, one of the movies that I did watch recently, talking about like reboots and prequels and stuff that actually blew me away was me and my kids really liked the Wonka film, the new one.
Aha! Now that's an interesting one to talk about.
That that blew me away.
There was that movie. So here's my critique of the Wonka movie. It's good music. It's a lot of fun. Everything that happens is fun, and it's comedy. But why does he like have superpowers? Like he seems to be like have powers that he never really had in the originals.
You know, I always looked past that because I figured, well, he makes them fly in the original. He has the fizzy lifting drinks, something he put
He
in that.
has, he has, yeah, he creates a substance that makes them lift, and then I guess in this version he's like has like a little candy that flies or something, but
Yeah. Um,
candy that we never saw again. It's just like he literally blows a candle and it lights on fire. Like why is he magic all of a sudden?
I don't know. He creates the tunnel of doom in the 71. So
To say he was always magic, and we're just he that because and he has like a hat that he can pull anything out of, so he has a lot of magic powers in the Wonka movie.
yeah, he does. But you know,
Is
it's
he
it.
is he magic? Is that what I didn't understand about the originals? Is that he has superpowers and he's actually like a magician?
I don't know. Some of the things he does to those kids in the original movie. I don't know. Maybe.
I think his candy. I think he's more of like in my mind, he's more like an engineer. He finds different substances that that can make someone lift, but like him himself shouldn't be able to really like just
Yeah,
make
yeah.
things.
I've heard that criticism. I get it. Yeah, I it's just one of the more modern remakes that I've actually really enjoyed.
No, no, no. It
Uh,
was Yeah, it was good music. But so that didn't bother you as you watched it.
no, no, I personally thought it was a good love letter to the Gene Wilder film. It had a lot of details, a lot of Easter eggs that called back to the original movie, and that is a personal childhood favorite of mine. I still watch that one a lot to this day, so it just kind of fit.
I'll have to watch it again. What do you think of the Michael Jackson version? I mean, the Johnny Depp version.
There's certain things Tim Burton shouldn't touch.
What was it? That was Alice. Well, he also did Alice in Wonderland. Did you like those?
I've seen bits and pieces of the first one. I have them. I just haven't watched them. Uh, did he do Lone Ranger? Because I was watched that one a while back, and I really enjoyed.
Johnny Depp is in Lone Ranger. I don't know about Tim Burton.
Burton was tied. I Johnny Depp was in it, but I heard Tim Burton was tied to that one. But
All right. Well, we could talk endlessly about this, and we'll have to have you on again and talk more. Maybe another decade. We'll tap into like the 2000s or something. But
absolutely,
but for now, I want to say thank you for coming on.
thank
Uh,
you for having me.
you can find Mr. Movie Man at Movieman86, right?
Yep,
On TikTok. Are you on anything else?
I am on Clapper too, but I'm
No.
not sure my. I I'm more active on TikTok, so just keep it at TikTok.
So all you TikTokers out there, go and follow Movieman86. You're making, almost every day you're reviewing a movie. A lot of them are just random, which is cool.
Yeah, basically, I have my totes. I number every movie in my tote, and then I pick a number, and then whatever movie corresponds, I usually just watch that week. So
So my audience appreciates you, and this will all be up on YouTube. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
thank you. You have a good one.
All right, have a good one, brother.
Bye.
Oh, now the show is still going. Hold on.